But first, if you're someone a bit like me who looks at our public life today and is a bit inclined to despair, it seems you're not alone. The Australian Financial Review today documented the annual Edelman survey on public trust, a large survey of many countries, including Australia, which shows that we are much more divided and much less optimistic than before, and losing our public trust in our institutions faster than any other major country except South Korea. Almost half of all Australians, 45%, believe our country is more divided today than in the past. A majority, 54%, think that the nation's social fabric has become too weak to serve as a foundation for unity and common purpose. And even more, 61%, think the lack of civility and mutual respect today is the worst they've ever seen. A big sign of increasing polarisation, even among those who deplore it, is that only around a quarter of us, 24%, would help a person in need who strongly disagreed with their views on societal issues, meaning 78% of us wouldn't. We would not help someone out. And just as sad is the fact that only 19% of us would be prepared to work alongside people we disagreed with strongly. One of the most striking changes I've seen in the 25 years or so since I started out in politics has been the moralisation of disagreement. If people have different views, say on issues like climate or identity, especially if the dissenters are comparatively conservative, well, they're not just wrong, but bad, not just misguided on the issue, but morally delinquent. And dangerous as this rancorous polarisation is, I doubt it's going to get any better time soon, since most big current debates are currently being conducted along moralistic and divisive ways. Take The Voice. If the Prime Minister says voting yes is just a question of being polite to Indigenous people, almost by definition, anyone who doesn't agree is rude and disrespectful, if not actually racist. Then there's the way the Albanese government has conducted the debate so far, limiting information and discussion. Now, this might have backfired in the Parliament today. We'll get the latest in a moment. But what's the government trying to do by shutting down debate? When the Morrison government was considering whether to establish a voice by legislation, it established a bipartisan parliamentary committee co-chaired by Julian Leeser and the Labor Senator Pat Dodson. It commissioned the Karma Langton report on how a voice might work. Now, by contrast, as Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese presented his preferred constitutional amendments via the media at the Garma Festival, presented them as a done deal, no obvious consultation with anyone, let alone the opposition, even though bipartisanship is usually a prerequisite to get up constitutional change. When Peter Dutton quite reasonably poses 15 questions in an attempt to find out more about what the voice would mean in practice, the PM tweeted that it was a cheap culture war stunt. And sure, the PM now says he wants bipartisanship because this thing's floundering on the rocks, but his idea of bipartisanship is to morally bully the opposition into accepting his proposal, not to invite the opposition to sit down and co-design something that would be acceptable to both the major parties. Now, as you know, I think the voice is wrong in principle. I don't think you can put lipstick on this pig. And should it be, and I think it should be opposed by the Liberal Party because it infringes the great liberal principle that there should be no distinctions made on the basis of race, creed, gender or ancestry. But the government isn't just pushing a divisive policy here, it's pushing it in a very divisive way. So it's no wonder people in our country feel more divided than ever, and that it's getting worse.